All right, we are recording now. First of all, we'd like to, like I said, I want to welcome everyone back. We appreciate you hanging in during this tough time. Doug, Veronica, would you like to chime in with a couple of things here and welcoming our staff back, and any other thoughts or information you'd like to share? That'd be great.
I'll just start. As Scott said, I want to welcome everyone back to the YMCA. On behalf of the YMCA, thank all of you guys for being our first to help get our facilities back up and launched and reopened. You guys were all quick to do that for us. I'm really happy to see all of you guys. It's as I've been talking to people as they come in and what's been going on, and a lot of you have been saying, I'm bored and I'm ready to get back to work. And being a people industry, we have definitely missed being around people, not only our members, but you guys as staff. So definitely want to give you a warm welcome back. Get ready for next week. I think our members are excited for what we've learned at the Shirts YMCA that's been open all this week. It's really been great. They're smiling faces coming back. We even have had, I think in Shirts, about 20 new membership joins over the course of the week. So I think our community is ready for us. Just want to share that we're going to do this in a very safe and deliberate manner, not to take this pandemic lightly. People are excited to get back, but we still need to be very conscious of how we can do this in a safe way to keep our community safe during this time, especially until we find a vaccine or something to help with this pandemic. So welcome back. Looking forward to it. And Scott has really put together a great presentation for us. But also, we're learning. This is our first time to do this over a Zoom over 3 branches. Working remotely is going to be a new way of work for us. So please bear with us and help give us feedback on how we can continue to train future staff. But thanks and welcome back.
All right, well, let's begin. Please, at any time, if you have trouble hearing me, I'm trying to get my screen back up where I can actually see your pictures again, and I'll do that as we move forward. But until then, if you have a question, just be sure to unmute yourselves and let me know until I can start seeing everybody again. I'm not sure what I did, but anyway. All right, so real quickly, I just want to go over who we are. Who are we? We're the YMCA. And there's something that goes along with that. And hold on 1 second. There we go. We want to be the top of mind, inclusive community connector that inspires a new movement towards holistic well-being. Through collaborations, cause-driven leadership, and continual innovation, the Y will enable lasting lifestyle changes while becoming a beacon of inspiration for all. If for some reason you're fairly new to the Y and you may not know our mission, it is critical that you do know our mission statement. Our mission statement pretty much says exactly who we are, what we are, why we've been here, and where we're going to be going. And so this has stayed continuous for many, many, many years. And that is to put Judeo-Christian principles into practice through programs that build a healthy spirit, mind, and body for all. Well, what does that mean when we say to put Judeo-Christian principles into practice with all these programs and such? That we're going to be here to care for our neighbors, not to judge, to treat everyone equally, to, our open doors is part of that. So we're here for the community, depending on what that community is. And for those, if you don't mind, if you are calling in from home, if you don't mind putting that yourself on mute, I would take that and get rid of some of that feedback we're having. Thank you. What is our cause? Our cause is to strengthen the foundations of the community. And what are our values? Our core values are caring. Well, there's a T in there, not really. Caring, honesty, respect, and responsibility, and faith. Of all the YMCAs in the nation, if you are a YMCA across this nation, you have to have those first 4, which are caring, honesty, respect, and responsibility. But you can have a 5th one, and that is faith. We choose to have faith. We choose to lift up our C at the YMCA. That's C standing for the Judeo-Christian. And then what are our areas of focus? You've probably seen this many times, but all of our areas of focus are youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. Every single program, activity, anything we do at the Y falls under one of those categories. I just wanted to give you that brief recap because I wanted to make sure that our mission here at the Y is still the same, and that is to serve our community. Our community has changed over the last 3 months, so we are going to change along with that. One thing real quick, if you go to your blue packet, that's the packet we're going to be looking at first. With the slide here, what I've done is at the bottom of the page, that page number in large print, it says page 1 there, that correlates with the page in the book or in your packet. That way, as I'm talking, you know exactly where we are in the packet. So that'll happen throughout today's training. And just real quickly, a reopening plan. You know what? I did not give Veronica a chance to talk. Veronica, do you want to talk now that I'm thinking about this?
Hey, you're all good, Scott.
I'm sorry.
Hey, no worries. I just want to welcome everybody back and echo a lot what Doug has to say. We've taken a lot of consideration in putting these plans together to keep not only our staff safe, but as well as our members, and just excited to have everyone back. As you know, it's been a long, what I would say, 2 months, and we're just excited to be back seeing our members and our staff, so welcome. But go for it, Scott. You were good.
Well, I apologize. I'm still trying to figure out because I can't see anything at all other than the slideshow, which is fine. I just wanted to make sure that you got your opportunity to welcome everybody, because I know you're just as excited as everybody else to get the Y open and going again and to see everyone. Just a real recap here on page 1 of the blue booklet is I want to read this first part of reopening plan for the spring and summer of 2020. Is the YMCA of Greater San Antonio's priority is to provide wellness facilities, programs, and services in a safe and effective manner. The YMCA's reopening plan prioritizes the health and well-being of our members, staff, and the communities we serve, taking into account the CDC guidelines and the guidelines recommended of the state and local government. To ensure all decisions are informed by the most up-to-date and relevant public health information, the Y has commissioned a COVID-19 leadership task force. So just know that what I'm going to go over today doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the same thing in a week or in a month. Because as you probably can guess and know already, things are constantly changing and they're constantly evolving. The Y is going to adapt very quickly to those changes. If we get a large breakout in the community, then we're going to adapt to that. As the outbreak continues to lessen and the city, state, and federal governments put out new guidelines to open us up more, we're going to probably follow along with that as well. But just know we could go up or we could go down in a sense on how the YMCA will operate over the next several months. We may be good for 3 or 4 months and then have an outbreak, a larger outbreak in the fall. So just know, as with even before this happened, the Y, we're always changing. We're always adapting to what the community needs. So please know that we're going to consistently follow what is best and what is safe for you, our members, and the community. Phase 1 here, and that's still on page 2, actually we're on page 2, is just phase 1 reintroduces the community to utilizing the Y under the new COVID restrictions. Phase 1 limits activities and individual level activities. The YMCA will implement social and physical distancing practices, which is what we're here today to talk about and how all of that works. We'll be doing lots of things in your facilities to rearrange furniture, to move equipment, to put signs on equipment. Just know that, again, that could constantly change, but this is what phase 1 is about. And in a minute, we're going to go over the table. We'll look over the table, but we'll go into more detail on that. Phase 2 is we still maintain social and physical distance of the phase while opening more areas of the facility to meet the community needs. Along with the changing laws or guidelines that the city and the state puts out. We will also change maybe some of the activities in our facilities depending on the need or the want from the community. So one Y may have a lot of interest or a lot of people wanting to do this, and when it's safe, we may open that. So just know that it also has to do with demand as well as some of the state laws that are given to us. I say state laws, state guidelines. Also in phase 2, if any areas pose challenges for social or physical distancing or for sanitation, then the area will be closed until new procedures can be implemented. Something that you should know is that I say we, Scott especially today, I'm probably not going to have every single answer to every single question. And you at your facility, you're not going to have an answer to every single question that that member has, or they ask, or they want, or they need. It is okay to say, I don't know, if you truly don't know. The worst thing that you can do is you can make up some type of rule or some type of answer. Be patient with yourself, be patient with our members, be patient with the community, be patient with your supervisors. We are all adapting and learning and implementing as fast as we can in the most safe and effective manner. Phase 3 basically will say that we are going to return all of our facilities and programs to full capacity, just like it was before the COVID-19 crisis occurred. Our targeted reopening dates this past Monday, we opened the Schertz Family YMCA. Freddie gave us an update today on that facility, and they have been doing an excellent job. They've had several joins even, but I think overall it has gone extremely well in that facility. The members have behaved, the community has really responded well, so we're very thankful and happy for that. Come Monday, we will be opening your facilities, which are Thousand Oaks, Mays YMCA at Petrenko, and the DR Sims Family YMCA at Tri-Point. Then on June 1st, all remaining branches and summer camp will open. Now we're going to go over some of the charts. The first thing that I kind of want you to do is look at your booklets there, and it's on page 3 to page 8. Look through those, and I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to look at that. Don't worry, I'm going to be doing some things on my screen up here, so you'll see it flashing back and forth, and you'll see me, but don't pay attention to that. Just look through these phases and read. From left to right, it talks about the phase number, how it affects the people, how it affects the facility, how it affects activities and programs, and what are the safety preventions for that particular area during that phase. So please look through that, read through it, and we're going to discuss it in just about 5 minutes. Also a number to really look at for you all on page 5 of the packet there under phase 2. Know what your occupancy is for your building. Doug and Veronica, what is our current occupancy now? Is it 25 or did it go up to 50 this week?
It's still at 25%, Scott.
Okay. I don't see the 25% on the occupancy rate under phase 2 on the left-hand side, but your branch exec will know exactly what your 25% occupancy is.
We also have signage for the front doors with the occupancy number, and leadership teams should have that at their branches.
Great, thank you. A lot of information here. Just real quickly, I'm going to open it up to you all. Looking at this phase 1, 2, and 3, obviously you're under phase 2. Are there any questions that you all might have as a group or as an individual that you'd like to ask right now? Okay. Oh, I see Osiris walking towards me, maybe. Yeah. Okay, hold on.
Scott,
Yes.
we have one question. You can-
Quick question on phase 2. It's Carolina.
Carolina.
Yes, it says drop in child watch limited hours, but are we still not having child watch until June?
I believe so. Veronica, you want to chat on that, but I believe we're not having that yet.
Yes, correct. We will not be opening Child Watch Monday. We are looking at those guidelines and hopefully able to lift Child Watch sometime in June, but we don't have a tentative date quite yet.
Great. I do have a question from Aaron. Aaron asked, virtual personal training, are we doing that from home?
Virtual personal training will take place at the facility, and our directors are working on creating a space for that to happen.
Great, thank you. Any other questions we might have? All right, well, we're going to move on. I'm not going to go over all of that phase 2 because there's a lot of information in there, but that doesn't mean that you do not need to know it. We're going to go over a lot of what was included in phase 2 as we continue today's training, but I'm not going to go line by line on that right now. We are on page, let's see here, page 9, which is frequently asked questions. These are going to be questions that your staff may ask you or members and the community may come up and ask you. So again, I'm going to give you a few minutes to look through all of these questions. I'm not going to go one by one, but I am going to ask people for what the answers are here in just a second. So, and I do have a list of everybody that's in the room, so I may call on you to answer that question for me. But go ahead and take a look over the next 3 or 4 pages and to see what's going on with these frequently asked questions. I'm going to give you about another 30 seconds on the frequently asked questions, and then we're going to discuss a little bit. Okay. Let's talk about some of these questions. Before we do, what questions do you have for us? Do you have any? Just let someone that's close to a computer know, and they'll come up there and ask me. I see Susie coming to me.
Yeah, so one of the questions is there a limit on what we're offering for scholarships?
I don't think so. I'm going to also refer to Veronica and Doug on that, but we're definitely, this is what the Y is here for, and to help people during hard times. So we will have the open doors or the financial assistance available. How much is available? I'm not quite sure. Veronica, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, or I
Or
could jump in, Veronica. So we will follow our same process for open doors. So follow it exactly as we have been. Follow the scale as provided. If there's needed for any anything beyond that conversation that's on the scale, then you can get with your director, program director, or your executive director if someone's needing special consideration for what's beyond the scale. But we'll follow the exact same process that we have. Yes, we have another question, Scott.
Okay.
Yeah, Destiny was asking if we know what the new membership rates are, and yes, we do. Susie and Shauna were part of a training this week, so that's something that we can review at the branches. I don't know if that's part of the training, Scott. I couldn't remember, but
No,
we'll review that with you today, Destiny. But the new rates are available. Looks like Veronica might want to chime in on that too.
Yeah, Susie, Shauna, you guys also should have gotten some signage or a flyer with all the new rates. And if not, let me know and I'm happy to forward.
Yes, we have it.
Yeah, so.
all right, great. Good questions. Anybody else have anything?
Hello?
Hello.
This is Billy Graham. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I have a question, rewinding, but I'm looking over the frequently asked questions, and I'm at the point of how will physical distance be enforced and what are your cleaning protocol? But I was thinking, how will we manage members or people that choose to be, say, stubborn as far as cleanliness and not respecting the code of social distancing?
These are great questions, Billy. I do appreciate them, and we are actually going to go over those in our next booklet.
Okay.
So, but
Gotcha.
yeah, but make sure I answer all your questions once we're done with that. But yeah, those are good questions because those are going to be things that we come across.
Thank you.
Thank you. One thing that I do want to talk about on the frequently asked questions is on that page 9 is, do I have to wear a mask? For the member, we're not requiring them, but we highly encourage them to do it. So if someone comes in your facility and they do not have a mask or gloves, for that matter, we highly encourage both, but we're not requiring it. When it comes down to it, there's not much, whether it's criminally or otherwise, there's nothing that you can do in those instances. All of what we're going to go over here in just a minute in the next booklet is these are the minimum requested standards from the state. Brian had a question.
My question was, how are we going to regulate, like, how many people, once we reach capacity, are we going to regulate how we're going to let members in and out? Or are they going to have to wait outside or set a reservation?
Are you talking about if we fill up or if we hit our maximum occupancy?
If we hit our occupancy and like somebody comes in, they're like, oh, I was going to try to work out right now before we go back to work or whatever, but we hit capacity.
Well, if we hit capacity, here's the thing, and we're going to go over a little bit more, but I'll go ahead and answer the question because it is something that we could come across, and that is we can't ask everybody to just, can you please congregate over here? That would put a group together. So at this point, what we're asking people to do is if we feed our maximum, we're going to ask them, you are welcome to wait in your car for a few minutes to see if our numbers come down, or if you would like to come back at another time, we would appreciate it. But we can't say, hey, please hang out here for 5 minutes to see if someone comes, because we're gonna talk about the whole social distance inside too, like Billy had asked. But so I hope that kind of answers your question there, Brian. We will give them a couple of options. You can wait in the car, or they can wait outside away from other people. But also note, though, one thing that we want to make sure is we're going to be taking their temperature. We'll go over this in a minute, but because it's going to be summertime and people are coming from their hot cars, a lot of people may show up that they have a higher temperature. And I say that because if someone tries to come in and we're at capacity and we say wait outside, if they're waiting out in the heat, when they come back in, we may check their temperature and their temperature may be over 100. So those are just some things to keep in mind, but we'll go in a little bit more detail for that. Any other thoughts or questions?
Yes, this is Dawn from Dr. Scenes.
Hi, Dawn.
Hi, I have a question. We're getting information from a lot of different places, and what people are watching the media and listening to what they're hearing around them. And I know it was said earlier that we are still at 25%. I myself actually heard on the news that we were going up to 50%. Is it safe to say that we should just be following what our directors and are telling us, so that if anybody comes in and says, well, I thought your capacity was going higher, we should be following both staff and telling our members that we should be, we're listening to our direct supervisors?
Yeah, this is an excellent question. Thank you for asking it too, because what happens is the state and there's the CDC, there's state, and then there's the city with Metro Health. They can all push out requested minimums for the businesses and such. But each business can also delegate what they think is safe. So in the future, the state could say, all right, you can open up to 50%. But again, maybe there's a cluster, whether we're having a bigger or a larger breakout in San Antonio, and we make the decision as a business and say, we're going to stay at 25 right now. So we have that authority or that responsibility, I think let's call it a responsibility to our community to see what's happening. So that could vary, but my answer to that is always listen to what your director tells you. Do not listen to the news if it says at 100%, and then we privately say we want to put it at 20%. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. What else do we have here? Any other questions, thoughts?
Scott,
Yes.
I'll just interject real quick on the occupancy. This is part of our phase-in strategy that we chose our largest facilities with the largest occupancies. Just to give you some perspective, at Schertz, which they can technically have 365 people right now in their building. they're not even getting right now at least 365 throughout the entire day. So we're not super concerned at this moment about our occupancies. Now that could change, of course, but we have very large facilities that we're opening up first in this phase. So as a staff, at least initially, we're not super concerned about that. If anything, like at Shirts, it usually becomes more of a spacing of equipment issue quicker than a capacity issue, and making sure people, once they're in the building, doing the appropriate distancing. So we have not ran into that. We don't think we will initially, but again, yeah, we will follow. We will take point on what those occupancy loads are, and right now it's at that 25%.
If you all could make sure that you have your microphones on mute, please, I appreciate that. Thanks. Just get a lot of feedback there. Another couple of questions that I'd like to go over is, what is your cleaning protocol? Just know that we will be going over in depth of that in a minute. So you'll definitely have something, or you will know what to tell your members as they come back. How do I know that it's safe to come back? You know, even with the relaxed regulations that are coming out now, COVID-19 is out there, and it's not going to go away anytime soon until, you know, most likely there's a cure or some type of vaccine. So we don't need to let our guard down. And when people ask, is it safe? That's going to be a personal decision a lot of times on that particular individual. We are going to do what we can as an organization to be as clean and sanitized as possible. But there is nothing, no business, no school, no anything can say it is 100% safe to come into our facilities. We are taking large steps on top of what we've already done with our sanitation and cleaning procedures to make sure that it is as safe. One good thing that I've heard, I don't want this to make you think that you don't have to clean as much or wipe, but the CDC has said in the last couple of days that they're starting to see that the virus is not spread as frequently or as bad through contact as it is rather face-to-face and being in personal space. So that's a good thing in general, but we are going to still keep the very stringent cleaning and sanitation policies in place because it needs to happen. Any other questions or thoughts before we move on? All right, just know that there are a couple of pages on here that go over some of the signage that you will have at your location. You may see some of them. You may see all of them, depending on your location. But this is what a lot of the signage will look like. Yes?
We did have one question on cleaning procedures for restrooms.
Sure.
What was the question? The guidelines, are the guidelines in there? I mean, it's probably the same as what we normally do. Is there anything in addition that we do?
Not necessarily. It's just it's going to be more frequent.
More frequent. Well, hold on, Lupita's asking.
Yeah, but we will definitely start. Yeah, I'm actually, we're about to go into health and safety now.
Okay. All right, sounds good.
Thanks. All right, let's switch over to our purple packet, or the packet that says Branch Facility Health and Safety. All right, if you'll turn to page 3 in that book. Again, the page numbers are now, because we're going to have a lot more on our screen, page numbers will be under each of the bullet points here on your screen. This is really important to remember, so make sure you're paying attention and you're following along with me because I'm going to read it out loud. But on page 3 there, employee safety. We will screen every employee before they come into the YMCA. We will send home any employee who has any of the following new or worsening signs of these symptoms: cough, shortness of breath or difficulty, chills, repeated shaking with chills, muscle pain, headache, sore throat, loss of taste or smell, diarrhea, or feeling feverish, or having a measured temperature of 100 degrees or more. Now, I know sometimes you may just have a dry cough from allergies. This is where you kind of have to use common sense. Is this something that just recently came on? Have you not had a cough before, but all of a sudden you have a cough? Have you not had muscle pains over the last several weeks, but all of a sudden you're starting to have muscle pains? Same with headache and sore throat. You know, I think Doug and Veronica and I and Stacy, we've all had a headache for the last, well, they've had it for the last 2 months, every day. We're not talking about that. We're talking about new oncoming symptoms. You heard me talk about just a minute ago, a lot of people, especially as we get into summer more, will be in a hot car, or they may run to the Y from their house, and their body temperature is automatically going to be warmer because they've been outside. We will provide what we call a kind of a cooling off period, where they have the opportunity, if we take their temperature, they are at or over 100 degrees, we will let them know, you know, if you want to wait around for 15 minutes, again, we can't have them, if there's a bunch, which I can't predict what it's going to be like in June and July, but we can't have them all huddled together all in one room. It may be where there is space for them to sit around, but most likely we're not going to want to say, I need all of you all to sit at one table and wait. Again, we're putting people too close to each other, but we will give them an opportunity to cool off, and we will take their temperature again. But let's keep going on page 3 here. Do not allow employees with the new or worsening symptoms. We talked about that. And here is any staff that is tested for a fever of 100 or more will be asked to leave our facility and not return to work for 72 hours. They must also have a doctor's note before they can return. Any staff member who tests positive for COVID-19 can return to work as long as they no longer have a fever without the use of medication that reduces fever, and other symptoms have improved, your cough, shortness of breath, etc. Staff is required to provide a doctor's note to return to work. You might be thinking, well, what about a 14-day quarantine period and so on? Well, we're saying you need a doctor's note. If you are positive, that doctor is not going to give you a note to come back until you are past that incubation period of 14 days. If you are positive with COVID-19, we do need you to contact Stacy Oxenberg, our Chief Human Resource Officer, and to let her know. There are several reasons that we need you to contact her, or a couple of reasons rather, not several. One is we need to know, because if you were in our facility, we need to do a huge scrub down and extra cleaning and sanitation at the branch. If you are at work and you find out for whatever reason that you're COVID-19, we have to shut the branch down, make everyone leave, and sanitize the entire facility head to toe. If you're not at the facility, you still need to contact Stacy Oxenberg, because the federal government, in one of their relief acts, they have provided 2 weeks of time, up to 10 business days off for you to recover. So she needs to get that paperwork going, and this goes for part-time or full-time. Any thoughts or questions on that? All right. Employees must, so if you pass your temperature and you look at that list and you're like, I'm good, then we want you to wash or sanitize your hands upon entering the YMCA. I am always going to suggest, and I think all of us suggest, washing your hands is the most effective way to sanitize your hands. So wash with soap and water under warm water for 20 seconds at least. That will sanitize your hands. If you do not have that available, or you need a quick fix, so to say, use hand sanitizer. But either one of those are required before you enter the facility. We will have a station there along with a thermometer, and the person that takes your temperature, we will have a bottle of sanitation or the sanitizing hand soap there for you. Employees must maintain at least 6 feet apart from each other and from members. If this is not feasible, if you come within 6 feet of someone, you have to be wearing a mask. Now, here's where we're going to talk about masks for employees. You are required as an employee to wear a mask inside the facility. If for some reason you're working out, if for some reason you're doing something and the mask is constricting your breathing, you're having a hard time breathing, or there's something like that, you can remove it, but make sure there's no one around. If a member chooses not to wear a mask, we're put as much space between you and them when you interact with them. You don't have to be rude about it, but we need you to put space between you. Like I said, the CDC just came out that the biggest way right now that they're seeing, and obviously this can change, is face-to-face and being around people. That is the highest transmission rate right now. And the longer you're around someone that has COVID, the more likely you are to get it. So staff is required, you are required to wear masks and try to stay 6 feet apart. Any questions on that, masks in the facilities? And we'll talk more about masks for members in a minute. All employees must be trained on appropriate cleaning and disinfection and hygiene, hand hygiene. That's what we're doing today. Appropriate PPE, masks, face covering, gloves, and eye protection when required. We are asking you to wear masks and gloves. Is that correct? Gloves, I believe. I just wanted to make sure on that. Veronica, sorry.
Scott,
Yeah.
gloves are not required while they're at work. Gloves are required while you're cleaning equipment.
Okay. Perfect.
While you're using the disinfectant sprays, chemicals, we want you to wear gloves. But while they're doing their daily work, gloves are not a requirement.
Okay, thanks. So when you're doing your normal day-to-day duties, excluding cleaning or any type of sanitizing, you just have to wear the mask and gloves when you're doing spraying disinfectant of any time. I believe each facility has one of the little, it looks like a bug sprayer, but it's a sanitizer that sprays. You will be required to wear safety goggles with that as well. Are there any questions on how to wash your hands? I know that sounds like a silly question, but I want to make sure that everyone understands it. When you wash your hands, it has to be for 20 seconds in warm, soapy water. That is the best way to sanitize your hands. If that is not available, then we ask that you use hand sanitizer and make sure that you cover your entire hand in between your fingers, your fingernails, all the way up to your wrist. We'll talk about it shortly about putting on and taking off personal protective equipment such as masks and gloves. Speaking of masks real quick, the YMCA will provide you with one. If you choose to wear another one, that is fine. If it is a disposable mask, it should only be worn one time, unless you have some UV sanitizer light that you can get probably 2 or 3 uses out of it. But please do not wear the same disposable mask every single day without sanitizing it. It'll probably at some point start to smell anyway. If it is a cloth face covering, those have to be washed every day. they will harbor a lot of germs, I promise you, just by you breathing through your nose and mouth anyway. So I highly recommend, please wash that every day. All right, we're gonna go now to, we're still on page 4, but we're gonna talk about cleaning and disinfecting. I emailed the execs last night and asked them to think about who they would like to put in charge of the cleaning, disinfecting, and making sure that supplies are in stock for your location. They will let you know who that person is, but that person should be the one that knows the most about where the supplies are, how much they have in stock, and also be familiar with how to clean and disinfect in case someone forgets or has a question on it at your facility. So each of those first 2 bullet points cover that. Make sure that you're always having some type of inventory on hand, because you never know when you need it more and you run out and then you don't have it. It does say on here, ensure that you have safety data sheets. For those people that are your subject matter experts in this cleaning and disinfecting, if you will get with me separately, I will talk about what safety data sheets are. Basically, they're just sheets that talk about what chemicals are used in your branch. Ensure the cleaning equipment and tools are in working condition. That will also be a job for the person that is in charge of this. Now, all staff should review and complete refresher training on general cleaning and site-specific protocols. That is what we're doing today. Cleaners must be trained on proper disinfecting guidelines. When you are cleaning any type of equipment or counter with the chemicals that we currently have, there is a 10-minute time on that, which means it needs to stay on that hard surface or on that piece of equipment for 10 minutes in order to destroy the COVID-19 virus. Will this happen every single time? We live in the real world. We know it's not. Someone's going to touch the counter as soon as we wipe it. Just make sure it gets wiped again as soon as possible. Same for equipment. We're going to be wiping down equipment, and we know that it will need a 10-minute time in order for it to disinfect. But as soon as we turn our back and start cleaning something else, someone else is going to jump on that piece of equipment. We understand that it's going to happen. We're going to try to prevent that. If you see it, just let them know, hey, can you please let the sanitation sit there for a little bit longer to ensure your safety? If they're already on it, there's not much that we can do. Just be sure that it gets cleaned afterwards. The members will also be asked to clean the equipment that they get on before and after they use it. Areas that require thorough cleaning due to heavy usage, such as your front desks, restrooms, locker rooms, wellness centers, pool areas are not open yet, neither are gyms or Group X studios, and all your high touch point areas. Something that I read the other day that was interesting, but it makes sense, is there's no really turning on and off of lights. Leave them on. Now, if it's a room that's not used, then you turn it off, but don't be flipping the switch all day. That's just another opportunity for the virus to spread. But any high touch area, which are door handles, the front desk, any object that's touched, your phone, your cell phone, all of that needs to constantly be sanitized throughout the day. What are the guidelines for that? I would say if we're going to put out something, at least at the minimum every 30 minutes, you're doing a whole run through of cleaning, if you're able to do that. But we're hoping, along with the members using the equipment and sanitizing it before and after they use, along with what we do, is going to hold up and is really truly going to be that line of defense that is needed to prevent the spreading of it. Locker rooms are not available, so those should be blocked off. But in restrooms, we need to make sure that even though it may be a touchless paper dispenser, I promise you the front of it gets touched, the cabinets, the countertops, the the faucets, all of that needs to constantly, at least every 30 minutes, be wiped down, whether you see people using it or not. Prior, like Doug said, to cleaning any type of area, you need to have on gloves and a mask. If you're using the fogger, I'm just going to call it the fogger, that cleaning machine, if you use that, again, like I said earlier, you do need to use your goggles. It says here, treat all surfaces using disinfectant from a government-approved authorized list. The chemicals that we are using does kill COVID-19 and other bacteria and viruses. Again, it takes a 10-minute downtime on that in order to kill all of what's recommended, or that's what the recommended downtime is. If you're cleaning a high-touch area and there's debris, such as lots of dirt, there's hair, there's all of that just needs to be wiped off first and cleaned just with soap and water, or just a cloth and wiped off before you sanitize it. Do not sanitize over a bunch of dirt or anything like that. It's not going to sanitize, and it will not be effective against the virus if you do that. Make sure you clean up any large debris that you see on countertops, floors, walls, anything like that before you actually sanitize that. All the branches will be closed every day from 1 to 3. During this time period, we'll be using a fogger. I don't know, Doug may have a better name for it, but it is a sanitation device that it's kind of like a smoke machine in a way, that we will go through the facility and disinfect. When it sprays, it cleans to the surfaces and we'll do a sanitation. So this is a deep, thorough clean that we will have from 1 to 3 every single day until we tell you otherwise at every facility. This will allow us, again, to restock on all our supplies, make sure that things are in place, and to do that heavy-duty cleaning. There is a place on page 5 there that talks about hard surfaces and soft surfaces. It is requested that most cloth items in a facility be moved so that it is not used, such as chairs, couches, and so on. And we're going to talk about those more in just a second. If you need to launder yourself, if somebody sneezes on you, I don't know, some type of body fluid gets on your clothes or anything like that, we do ask that that gets laundered in the wash. You want to wash your clothes or cloth, and this includes your face covering, at the highest temperature possible for that type of material. I'm not a washing expert. I just do light colored clothes and dark colored clothes at home, but do these separately, and you can put them in as hot as possible without shrinking or whatever it does to clothes. And that is at the bottom of 5. Make sure that if you do have hampers, which I don't think we're having towels or anything like that, but any type of cart or anything like that, that gets sanitized as well. So pretty much any object inside of a branch that can or could be touched gets sanitized and cleaned throughout the day. All right, we're going to go to page 6 and talk about social distancing. Are there any questions before we go to there? All right. Social distancing, we are asking that you try to put 6 feet between you and other employees or members of the community. We know that this is not going to be possible every single second of the day, because people are going to walk by you, they're going to come up to you without you knowing. But I think there is a way that you can politely tell them, you know, in order to protect our community, we're just asking that we give a little bit of space between each other. And that way you can have a conversation, but not be face to face. You again will be in a mask, The member hopefully will be in a mask as well, but we are not making them wear a mask. If a member does not have a mask and comes up and tries to talk to you closely, again, make sure that you create some type of distance between you and that person. There will be families that come in together. If a family comes in together and they live in the same household, they do not have to keep that 6 foot apart from each other. They can be in as close distance as they want. So how do we tell the difference between a family and just a group of friends? Well, most likely you're going to tell who's a family, but also this is going to go a lot with just the honor system in general. You know your members better than I do, and we know a lot of who's single, who has a family, who's this or who's that. So you're going to use that information to make the decision. If you see a bunch of 40-year-old guys, if there's 5 40-year-old guys hanging out together by the weights and they're all up against each other and in close contact, then no, we know that that's most likely a scenario that we were going to ask them. We're going to create space between each other. We're not asking them to put on a mask or gloves. We're just asking them to be respectful and have that distance. And remember, when wearing a mask, the mask is not for you. The mask is for other people. It keeps other people from getting something. The big thing with COVID-19 is being asymptomatic. This morning, the CDC was saying around 32% of all COVID people that are positive for COVID-19 are asymptomatic. That's a third of the people we will never know have it. That's why we're requesting you wear a mask. As we're going down here from the 6 foot, we're going to talk about circulation spaces. We need to designate and place signage for directions for foot traffic. There will be an in and an outdoor that is used, and those, all of that flow and such will be talked about today after our training or sometime here soon with your executive director. Every location is set up different, so there is not really a way that we can talk about specifics, but each branch will have a door that you go in and a door that you go out. There'll also be signage throughout the location, your location, talking about 6 foot distance, making sure, if, we're highly recommending masks and so on. Individual seats and seating at the locations. If you have chairs, couches, love seats, recliners, whatever it is at your location, I would hope that you would have a recliner, right? You cannot have seats next to each other. If you do have seats and they're kind of permanent, what you have to do is you have to mark off a seat in between each one. We are not wanting people to sit next to each other at all. Most of the offices that we have are single-use offices. I do know that there are some shared office space. Here, we're going to have our masks on anyway, but make sure that you're not sitting directly next to someone. So there is at least one cubicle or space between you and that particular person. You're like, well, how does that work? There's not enough space. There's so many people here at work. Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to do the best we can, and we're going to ask that you follow those rules, again, to keep the spread of COVID-19 from happening. We are not going to have meeting spaces kind of like we're having today necessarily, especially with the community. I'm looking at some of you all on the screen right now. If you do meet in a training situation like this, chairs should be 6 feet apart from in the front, behind, and on both sides, and everyone should be wearing a mask. So just know that shared spaces, that's how that's going to work from now on. If you do have a meeting, do not have it in the smallest room possible. Again, if you have a meeting, have it in the largest room possible or out on the wellness floor if you're closed, and make sure everyone is spread out and wearing a mask. If you go to page 7, We're going to talk about frequently touched surfaces. This is the most important areas to clean and disinfect. And I cannot tell you of all the different frequently touched surfaces, but just think within a day how many different surfaces you touch. You need to clean your own personal cell phone at work all the time throughout the day. Because whether we know it or not, we're subconsciously grabbing our phone, touching it. So that's just another way for that to spread. So clean your phones, clean the landline phones. I know most calls we're gonna be, we'll go to our support or our call center, but it's just really important that any type of high touch surface gets disinfected. One of my friends told me this one time, but I think this is most important, especially now. Especially while it's slow, if you have time to lean, then you have time to clean. All right, I'm gonna, over here on collaboration tools, anything that is shared, such as copiers, phones at the front desk, pens, pencils, all that kind of stuff. Make sure that if you're sharing them, that it needs to be disinfected every single time after you touch it. We talked about removing chairs, especially if they're fabrics chairs, because fabric chairs are harder to clean. Contaminant control. There should be a storage place for every person or every employee at the facility. This storage facility, this is where we can put our bags, our jackets, our whatever it is that we bring with us, our purse, our whatever. These need to be in spaces that are separate from everyone else. They can be close to each other, but you don't want your purses touching, you don't want your equipment touching each other's, your jackets, all that stuff. That needs to be separately. There needs to be space between that. I'm going to refer to your executive director to talk about where that location is. It may be at the front desk. Just don't pile your stuff on top of each other. Waste receptacles, obviously we'll have trash cans and trash receptacles throughout our facility, but there needs to be one dedicated receptacle, which it could be behind the front desk. Your executive director can decide, but this is where you put all of your PPE. All of your PPE, that is your masks that are disposable, and your gloves should go in one certain trash can. They don't go in all the trash cans that you're closest to. So please take the time to put it in the appropriate trash receptacle. Having people come in, whether they're a delivery person, UPS, FedEx, all of that, they still need to have their temperature checked and so on. Or there needs to be a place that they leave packages at the front if you have a lobby area before they come through, which most likely you don't want to do that because you don't want anything stolen. But just make sure if you have deliveries that they are delivered to one specific place, and then the person that is in charge, we can name someone, but maybe someone at the front desk, they need to make sure that if it's a non-porous surface that we wipe down those packages as well. And then they can be delivered out to the department or the person they need to go to. All right, we're going to talk about donning and duffing. And you're like, what is that? Doug, what is donning and duffing?
Those are two of the seven dwarves.
Yeah, they are, can y'all see me now? Can y'all see my face now? Okay, good. So I just want to talk a couple of things about, because we're required to do this, is how to put on a mask, which is very easy, and also how to put on gloves. And so for the gloves, well, we'll do the mask first. Make sure that you're not touching the mask, the front part of it or the back part of it, that you're holding it by the strings on the side or the cords or however it is. Some of them are tied, some of them have loopholes like this. but you want to slide it over your face, and I'm going to try not to cover so you can't hear me, and then around the ears. You do want to adjust. It has to cover both my nose and your mouth. If it's loose, if it's like this, if it's sticking up, if it's over to the side, it doesn't work. You need to make sure it covers your nose and your mouth, and it's snug. It's not tight. We don't want to constrict any type of breathing. Also, when you go to take them off, you want to grab the loops and take the mask off. You try not to touch the top or the front or the back of the mask at all. From there, you will drop it into your PPE trash receptacle. I know that sounds simple, but I just wanted everyone to know. How long, someone answer this for me, how long can you wear a disposable mask? How many days?
1.
Perfect.
1.
Unless you sanitize it through a UV light. And even if you have a light, because I'm a little OCD and I do have one of those, I only still wear it 2 or 3 days and then I throw it out. I am putting on a glove for you now. If you do have a glove that you're wearing because you're cleaning and such, there are proper ways to take those off. I believe everybody in this room or in these rooms are certified in CPR and first aid. So it's the same, yeah, maybe I can get this glove on. It's the same way. Hold on, I'm gonna move this. All right, so I have my gloves on. When you go to take them off, you're gonna pinch the glove. You can pinch at the wrist, you can pinch in the middle of the palm, whatever you're more comfortable with. Do not touch the skin. And then you're gonna pull that glove off. You're gonna ball up that glove in the hand, and then you're gonna slide a finger under here and pull it inside out. Now that it's inside out, you can touch this because it's not the outside of the glove that was on any contaminated surfaces or disinfectant. And then you're gonna put this in your PPE receptacle. Are there any questions on removing gloves? Just make sure you don't do skin-to-skin contact or glove-to-skin contact when you're taking them off. It's always glove to glove. But since I brought up CPR, I do want to go over that real quick so I don't forget that. And that is, not much has really changed when you're giving CPR and first aid. If someone collapses at the Y, we're still going to assist them. If you do not feel comfortable giving mouth to mouth, and just know you should have your little your kit there that has a one-way valve. So that one-way valve will only let air in and not out, but you are in proximity of that person. If you do not feel comfortable giving that person mouth to mouth, or breaths, then you do only chest compressions along with the AED machine. Any thoughts or questions on that? Okay. Something also that I forgot on gloves, when you take off your mask and gloves, be sure that you wash your hands afterwards. Now let's go to the next one here. Let me go back to, can y'all see the screen again? Okay, good. All right, so now we're gonna screen members. Members will be screened exactly like the staff is. We're gonna ask that, we'll probably, what Shirts did is they have a little, a sheet that's on a table, and we ask them, do you have any of these symptoms that are new or recent? And then we'll take their temperature. If their temperature is at or above 100, we will have an opportunity for them to take it again after 15 minutes after a cooling down period. I talked about this a little bit earlier. It is going to be hot during the summer, so people are going to have a higher body temperature. So we will give them 15 minutes to cool down. After that 15 minutes, if their temperature is still at or above 100, we're going to ask the following. We're going to ask that they not return. We're going to ask them not to return to the Y for 72 hours. And then also remember, as soon as members come in, they must wash and sanitize their hands upon entering the Y. We're going to ask that they keep 6 feet from each other unless they are a family that lives in the same household. And highly recommend masks and gloves for them. We will have probably a few masks for them to use and or gloves if they would like it. But other than that, we're asking that they bring their own gloves and masks. I know there was a question earlier about gloves. I think hopefully that answered it. Let's see here. On the type of glove is going to depend on the person. If you feel more comfortable as an employee wearing gloves, you are welcome to do that. And you can wear a glove that is whatever you're comfortable with. As for the members, we are not going to really recommend any particular type of glove. Obviously, if they're doing a lot of lifting weights or something, the thinner gloves are obviously have the more opportunity to tear, but that's going to be up to that particular member on what types of glove they can wear. At the bottom of page 9, we're talking about entering and the building and front desk. What we're doing is we're reducing the number of entrances. So if you have multiple entrances at your facility, which most do not, you just have one, we are going to reduce that. But also know there will be a door that you go in and a door that you go out. So if you have double doors at the front, one of those doors is where you go in, and then the other door is where you're going to go out. As for the automatic door, there's really nothing that you can do that, say, but you can put some stickers on the floor showing, or on the door saying the right side is for the exit, left side is for the entrance, or vice versa, however you set that up for your facility. You do want to monitor the capacity of your facility. That will be done by a clicker. As people come in and out, you will click them in and out. Is that still correct, Veronica and Doug?
Yes, I'm not sure if Petrenko got their clickers, but DR and Thousand Oaks should have had some clickers, as well as the ability to run their scan reports via ActiveNet.
Right. Thanks, Veronica.
Yeah, I think I might have a couple. I'll have to look. If not, I'll need to get some.
If not, Susie, if you could just send Stephanie a text. We have the ones from Ciclavia.
Okay, I'll check. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Veronica, I'm making sure that you get your steps in today, so thanks for getting up and down. The front desk, make sure that we do not have plexiglass at the front desk, but you will be wearing your mask, and there will be stickers on the floor making sure that the members stay 6 feet apart if they are in line. Do not feel that you can't ask if a member is hanging over the desk or anything, just to please take a step back, and so that you can give yourself some social distance. Again, there's a nice way and a not nice way to do that. I just ask that you ask them nicely, just due to the current situation, can you please not lay on the front desk? Because we got some crazy members every once in a while. Most of the reception furniture will be removed. Any high touch point areas that are removable will be removed. There won't be magazines, there won't be pamphlets, there won't be flyers, anything like that will all be removed from the facility at this time. We talked a little bit about signage. Signage will be out throughout your facility. You know, one thing that I was talking to Shirts about last week was, you know, if you have the staff available, having someone, if there's a line for people to get their temperature checked, have someone talk to the people coming in and just reminding them, hey, great to see you again. Glad you're back with us. Just a couple of reminders, our locker rooms are not available, but the restrooms are. Please know you're gonna have your temperature checked. Also, if you have a mask, we're asked that you wear it. You know, some of those things. That way they don't get in and all of a sudden it's like, well, I didn't know, or this or that. I just think it's kind of good if we have that opportunity and we have the time and the staff to do that, that we're able to let them know of some of the changes. Because we know that they don't read emails, all of them, and we know that not everybody reads what we have on our webpage as well. We talked about having a separate receptacle for PPE. Make sure that you monitor your cleaning supplies and that you don't run out. Lobby and common areas, there will be hand sanitizer and cleaning products throughout the facility. Make sure that those stay in use and that they don't run out. Water fountains, we are the only water fountain that we will use at a facility, and not every facility has this, are the water bottle refills. Any type with a little waterfall or the little, you know, where you push it and the water comes out and you bend down and take a drink, we are not having those. We will turn all of those off. The only thing that we will have is if you have a water bottle where you can push under the water. All right, we're on page 11 now. Community food and drinks. Make sure that if you bring food to the Y, that it's just food for you. No more sharing food, no more buying a large buffet and everybody eats out of, you know, the same box or anything like that. If you order meals for your staff for whatever reason, it has to be individual meals. And make sure that you're constantly monitoring and reviewing your cleaning guidelines, that you're up to date. There will be more staff that follows after this training. Some of them will be able to watch this training, others will not. Make sure that whomever is in your facility and is working for the YMCA knows these guidelines. There's only a couple of facilities that have elevators. I don't think any of these three facilities have them. Just know that there are guidelines for elevators, and you have to clean an elevator just like you would clean in any other high-touch surface, and limit the amount of people in there if possible. All right. We're pretty good on time. We've got about 15 more minutes, and then I'm going to let Stacy talk a little bit. Welcome back messaging. This is on page 13. There are some talking points that we have that you can interact with our members. You know, before all of this happened, we talked about retention. And retention is going to be just as important now as it ever has been. And part of retention is truly interacting and engaging with our members. So when they come back, let's let them know how excited we are, because we are excited. Without them, we don't have a job, basically. So be sure that you read through some of these talking points. They give some great blurbs that you can talk. It doesn't have to be word for word. You can create your own if you'd like, but these really do give a lot of good talking points. It talks about safety, talks about how to welcome them back, taking care of their health, we're in this together, and then how we adapt to our community needs. I do want to talk about the Y in general. Some of them will say, well, it's good to see the Y back open. Well, Sandy likes to say that we were never closed, because we really weren't. We were still in our community helping with food insecurities, having food drives. We were calling seniors, checking on them, making sure they had food, that they had the necessities they needed as well. And the one other one was, hold on, why can't I think of it? I have it. Oh, childcare for frontline staff in the community. So those are the three big things that we were doing during the during the last 2 months that we contributed to the community. And all of those things were basically non-income programs. And we did those to help our community because like the Y does in every community, we do what we need to do to make sure our community is taken care of. Any questions on the talking points before we go to page 15? On page 15, it just has a couple of more. Yes.
Question.
Scott, it's Lauren. For the temperature checks, are they required to wait the whole 15 minutes?
If they feel that their temperature is down, then sure, you can take it again. Just let them know on the second time if it's not within the, if it's still at 100 or higher, that we're going to ask them not to come back for 72 hours.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. We are not going to record temperatures. That's HIPAA. We're not going to record our staff. We're not going to record our members. Any of that is not going to be written down at all. So please do not do that. Do not say, oh, well, on Tuesday you had 99.7. Today you have, no.
So honor system for temperatures that are over 100.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
I just said it's the honor system, essentially.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Again, this is why we're wearing masks and asking others to wear. One is we're doing the honor system. This thing is so much bigger than all of us. There's no way that we're going to be able to contain it 100%, especially when a third of the people are asymptomatic. And so I may have it now. I don't know. But if I'm out in public, I'm usually wearing a mask. So, all right. So on page 15, 16, we just talk about more key messaging and talking points for the staff as well. So if you are a supervisor and you have staff coming back, let them know how excited and happy you are, because I mean, I am crazy excited that you are back. So if you have people coming back as well, make sure you let them know. This is a tough time for everybody. We've lost a lot of people, through furloughs and layoffs, and the Y is going to again be totally different. So let's make sure we have a good morale and that we're telling people that we're glad they're back, because we are. On page 17, I do want you to remember that through our culture and engagement, that we had these attributes that we asked people to show up having, and then also how we engage with these attributes. I'll challenge you to pick 2 of those attributes and use them over the next several weeks. I would suggest using the very first one, welcome them back, and then what are some of the other ones that you can use. But we need to continue using these attributes. That's how we keep people. That's how we engage our members. That's how we show we care, because we do. But make sure that you don't forget to try and use some of these attributes throughout the opening process. Lastly, and actually I'm not going to take up that 15 minutes, so Stacy, get ready. Lastly, we did make an addendum to our code of conduct for members. So that is on page 19, the last page. We are asking them to have some personal safety and social distancing. And along with that, I'm not going to read this whole sheet for you, but we are asking them to wear face masks and coverings, maintain a distance of 6 feet from each other, wash their hands frequently. Again, we're not going to be offering towels and stuff, so they need to bring their own. And if you're sick, this is so true, especially for staff. If you are sick, please stay home. This is not the time to be a hero, to show us that you can fight through it and that you're the best employee in the world because you're coming to work sick. Please, this is not the time. We trust you. We understand if you are sick, you are sick. but do not come.
Can I
Veronica?
just add?
Yes.
Yeah, the code of conduct, the amendment, Susie, Christina, Lauren, I just sent you guys what needs to be posted at the front desk, and it does need to be posted somewhere where people scan. And then the amendment will need to be stapled to the original code of conduct for any new members joining. So if you have any questions, feel free to text me. But again, the new amendment for any existing member needs to be posted at the front desk. Any new member will need to receive the amendment stapled to the original code of conduct.
Thank you.
Sorry, Scott, thank you.
No, you're fine. That pretty much concludes the health and safety portion of this. Make sure you keep this on hand, review it. As changes happen, whether it's through the CDC, the state of Texas, or Metro Health here in San Antonio, we will let you know as these changes occur. But, again, anything that you see on the news, you need to confirm that with your exec that it's truly going to happen at the Y. Because like the great question we had earlier, what do we listen to? Well, you listen to your exec at this point, which in return are going to listen to Doug and Stacy and Veronica. Make sure that if you have any questions, ask them, whether it's now or later on. You're welcome to write down my email address. I didn't put it on the screen, but it's scottb@ymcasatx.org. Scott, B as in boy. And you're happy to send me any questions you might have. So I have rambled enough for an hour and a half. I'm going to pass this along to Stacy. She would like to, well, first I want to just ask, are there any other questions? I know this is a lot, but I think also there's a lot of just common sense here on most of this. Susie.
Yes, hold on.
State members want to give feedback. Written or on
Yeah. So Jill is asking about providing, if members want to provide feedback and ways that they can do that. And Doug, I think, has an answer, so I'm going to mute me so he can.
No,
I think, Jill, are you referring to feedback on what they would like to see happening?
Can you get a little closer, Doug?
I mean, we'll of course know, but just like feedback or comments or things that they want to let everyone know. So something beyond you personally. Yes.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I know Freddie has learned a lot this week. I do think we want feedback for a couple things. One being consumer demand will help drive a lot of what we're able to do next and when we're able to do it next. For example, in shirts, almost everybody wants to know, when is the pool going to open? So Freddie has done just kind of a simple checkbox thing, but I do think we do need to, by Monday, come up with how we want to receive and document that feedback. So I don't have that exact answer right at this moment, but I would say your director, for right now, Susie, or the director of your branch, give it directly to them, maybe write it down. But Veronica, we might think of a tool or something between now and Monday on how to best receive and keep track of the feedback that our members are giving us.
Yeah, I think if the member can provide the feedback, I think what they're doing is they're leaving it at the front desk. So if the front desk can connect with either the membership director or operations exec directors, and then we'll figure out how to keep that information. The biggest questions are the pool and group exercise. So we'll figure out a way to collect that information.
but I'm imagining they may have other feedback as well, right?
Yeah,
Like
whether
safety
it's
could,
negative or positive,
yeah,
just
positive or negative.
Let us know what they think about.
Yeah, need some kind of an outlet to receive feedback. So we'll kind of think on that. I think at the front desk, but how do we, we're going to ask them to write it on a postcard, or how do we want to accept that, right? It's kind of what you're getting at.
Yeah, and Listen 360 is not up yet, and it won't be turned on for a while. I'm not sure they can leave the feedback also on our Facebook page.
Do we
So
have those comment cards? Oh, never mind. That's a high touch object. Never mind.
we'll figure out a way and get back to you. Great question. Thank you.
Very good question. All right, Stacy, if there's no more questions, which I want to give just a few seconds, any more questions before we hit, or before I turn this over to Stacy? All right, thank you all for your time, and I'm going to let Stacy go.
Great, thanks, Scott. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody here. I've been at the back of the room, just getting the bird's eye view. Great job, Scott, putting this together. This is our second group. We did a group, of course, last week at Shirts, and then this is our first all-together Zoom. So I feel like it's going pretty well. Thanks for being here and wearing your masks, and we're going to have to hold each other accountable to the new world. And so just know that when you remind somebody or you know, protect yourself by saying, I prefer to touch myself, that's what we want to do. We want to encourage that. So we know there's lots of moving parts. Scott, I'm not sure if you can get into your email. I sent you 2 documents. If you can put them on the screen, great. If you can, don't worry about it. The first one that I'm going to go over is something that I will also email out to you guys, but this is basically an addendum that is going to serve as our employee handbook, especially related to full-time benefits. I know some of you in this room are part-time, but just by a quick show of hands, if you're full-time now or if you were full-time pre-COVID, could you just raise your hand in my room? Okay, so those are the people who really need to take this document. This is a very temporary sort of guidelines, and it goes from May 1st through June 30th. So in mid-June, we're going to be reevaluating. We think that's going to give us, you know, a solid month, 5 weeks to determine how the reopening is going. What does our financial position look like? What is that projection, and what else can we do on here? So I just want to hit the high points. Even if you're part-time, there are some things that apply to you. Great. Yeah, thanks, Scott. This is also available on the UltiPro portal in the same place where our regular handbook normally lives. It's been replaced with this for now. We are constantly making changes in a lot of these documents that Scott has been going over. We can also upload those to the portal so that you have quick access to that. But I do want to just start by letting you know that those of you who are full-time now or who were full-time before who had health benefits, health insurance, is going to stay in place as is through August 31st. And what that means is that it's the same plan design, it's the same price. Our normal plan year starts again in September. So we're in the process right now of what we call the renewal, and I expect that there will be lots of changes. We've been with United Healthcare for as long as I've been with the Y, and even before that, but this year I do expect that we may have to leave United Healthcare. So I just want to prep everybody from that. It's going to become a numbers game, and with our decrease in headcount, it puts us into a smaller category and the rates are different. So more to come on that. But as you are reactivating, you will start contributing to those health insurance premiums again. I have not made the big announcement today, but I want everybody on this call to be the first to hear that those people who are reactivated, who maybe are working at a lower rate, or you're not going to be reactivated until next month, and the people who are still on furlough status who are full-time. We have continued to cover their health insurance benefits thus far, and we will also be able to extend that coverage through the month of July. It's great news for people, and we're hoping that, again, by July, we'll have a much better picture of where we are, and then the benefits will renew after that. We have a very generous donor who is actually paying those premiums on behalf of our employees, and they want to remain anonymous, but just really grateful for that generous contribution. That seems to be the biggest question from our full-timers, and I completely understand why. For anybody who is receiving retirement contributions, whether you're part-time or full-time, remember, if you've satisfied all the requirements, the age requirement, and you've been here for at least 2 years and worked the required number of hours in those 2 years, you are receiving the Y retirement contribution. Pre-COVID, we were our contribution rate was 12%, which was the highest. We, along with, I think, 95% of all other YMCAs, have dropped that down. The Y Retirement Board made an emergency decision to allow YMCAs to drop it down to 1%, which is what we've done through September 30th. That is something else that will be reevaluated. I was just talking with the Y Retirement people earlier this week and asked if there was any idea if they would extend that opportunity through September, and they said, as of right now, no. As of right now, we would be scheduled to turn back on to our pre-COVID contribution rate October 1st. So hang in there with us. It's another really good reason to hang on through October, is when we expect that we'll be able to put that back to where it was pre-COVID. A lot of people have questions about paid time off. We have paused any accruals. And so you guys know when March hit and we had to furlough about 94% of our staff team, we completely got rid of our sick time. We went back to a vacation accrual amount, and those amounts were paid out to those full-time staff who still had accrual balances. So those payments went out for April 10th payroll. We understand that now when you are coming back as a full-time staff member, you've already gotten that vacation payout. So what happens as you come back? So you'll see on number 3, because full-time staff members who were on furlough have received that payout, then any staff member returning may go into the negative if you need to take time off before July 1st, and we figure out what we're going to do beyond that. As long as it's for a non-COVID reason, we will allow you to go negative into your vacation bank, but this is upon supervisor approval. So in other words, if it's our busiest day, not a good day to take off, your supervisor does have, is empowered to decline your request for vacation time. But it is there, and we have had some questions about, can we go into the negative? And so we are able to honor that. I'll cover paid sick time and holidays, and then I will pause for questions because I know paid time off is a source of questions for folks. But with the paid sick time, I do have another handout, and it looks like this. I've emailed it around to you guys as well. Susie, if you can post this at your branch, and Brian, same with you. Javier, I'll give you a copy before I leave. But this is the federal FFCRA. It stands for Families First Corona Relief Act. And this is the act that gives staff members who are actively working a 2-week paid sick time from the federal government. But you have to satisfy that one of the qualifying events, and it does have to be related to COVID. It could be your own sickness with the virus or someone that you are caring for example. If that were to happen, please contact me directly. Debbie Lazarine is no longer with us, so all things benefits and insurance are coming to me for now, and we will get you sorted out. This is a part of the federal relief, and also part of the reason that we got rid of the sick time that full-timers had before, because we knew that this was coming, this federal supplement for paid sick time. And so it is literally a pass-through from the federal government to our employees if they are affected by COVID. It is only for 10 days or 80 hours. So, that is the limit right now. We're keeping a close eye as more Relief bills are passed, and we'll keep you posted if that changes. But for now, all these need to be posted in each branch, and questions should be directed toward me. So that's the Family First Corona Response Act. Paid holidays is another question. Again, benefit available to our full-timers. So if you've come back in a full-time role and you're full-time right now, our normal holiday pay remains in place for the rest of 2020. We realize that Monday is Memorial Day, and that is the day your branches are opening. So unfortunately, we need all hands on deck, and I'm sure you're probably ready to get out of the house anyway. But if you are hourly and full-time and you're working on that day, you will be paid time and a half, just like you were previously eligible for. If you are full-time and exempt and you work on Monday, you can bank that day and take it later. We're going to be very flexible with that. In the past, we've said within the next 30 days, and I think that's certainly something that we will waive through June, right? Because that gives you another opportunity if you need to take a personal day to handle personal business for some reason. So those are staying in place. And then for now, any car allowances or mileage reimbursements are paused. Those will be reviewed for July as well. So for now, if you do have mileage that you incur for the purposes of YMCA business, I would recommend that you keep track of that. This is the part where I have to say I'm not a tax advisor. The laws have changed a lot regarding mileage reimbursement, but I'm sure for 2020 there will be even more tax changes that we're not aware of at this time. So if you are in a position where you're having to drive for the Y, I would suggest to keep personal track and log your hours for that Y business. The more documentation you can keep, the better it will help you later on. So I'll pause there to see if there's any questions either from here at DR, Petranco, Thousand Oaks, or anywhere else. Are you guys good? Okay. We're all good here at DR. How about Thousand Oaks? I see a thumb up. Okay. Petranco. Okay. Petranco, any questions from you guys?
I think we're good.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, I just want to echo what has been said earlier on. It is so good to have you all back. We've been really missing you every day, and know that our Y members are missing their Y community too. I heard it put a really good way that during this time when we've all been, staying home and self-isolating, that we are all craving nourishment from the physical, the spiritual, the emotional, and I can think of no better place than the YMCA, and we know that those members are craving that same nourishment. So we'll be ready on Monday to welcome them back. Know that we'll get through these sort of uncertain times together. Scott, my team, Doug, Veronica, and everybody working behind you, let's figure this out together and know that we're here to support you. I'll turn it back over to you, Scotty.
Great. Let me unpin you. There we go. All right. Did I pop back up? I can't remember. I can't see. All right. Well, I think we're all good, and I appreciate everybody's time today. Like Stacy said, we'll be available on Monday if you need anything. So please email, call us, and I'm happy to go over anything that we talked about today if you have any questions. So if there aren't any other questions, then I think we can dismiss. Veronica, Doug, do you want to close us out with anything?
Sorry, I was out trying to get some things done.
That's all good.
I know. Thank you, Scott. Thank you for hosting. I think this was good start to trying to lift 3 facilities up, and know that we are always available if you have questions or concerns, but know that this plan is subject to change and things will evolve pretty quickly. So stay flexible and just make sure that we communicate to our leadership there at our facilities. So thank you again.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time. Doug, if you don't have anything, I think we are good. I see Javier. Who's that pops up there? You have a question? Nope, you're good. Okay.
No
Good.
question. We're good.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend and a good opening on Monday. And let me know if you need anything else.